It's Friday. What's going on? And welcome to Idaho Sports Talk, Prater and the Ballgame Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully you find time to reflect, spend time with your loved ones, be safe. We're going to kick that sucker off in style for you. And if you're listening to this, then congratulations. You're going to love the next hour of the program. We have a special guest in the rowpaint.com studio. But first, just want to remind everybody, in about a half hour, we will draw our winner and crown someone as the newest season ticket holder for the Boise State Bronco football team. So how cool this is going to be. Touchdowns for tickets. Around 5:30, we'll do that drawing. In studio joining us right now, he's a former Big 12 football player at Kansas. He now makes his home locally here in Meridian. He's a security professional. He works in event protection, and he's worked over 4,000 concerts in his career. And Prater and I have been talking about this all week. I mean, it is a who's who. It's not one of those kind of, hey, did this band or that band, did you work for them? It's almost like naming a band that hasn't worked with our man, Ryan Atkinson. Ryan Atkinson, welcome to Idaho Sports Talk. We've been ready for this interview just to dive deep into who you are and what you do. So what's going on, man? How you doing today, Ryan?
I'm doing well, thanks. Hello. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
There he is. He's all tatted up, Prater. How many? What's the count, Ryan?
There's
tattoos?
no count. It's just one.
Okay.
By the way, the resume, just real quick, I'm going to take 30 seconds. The resume, and these are world tours. It's not like he's hanging out at the knitting factory with, Joe Bob. These are world tours that he's in charge of, and we're going to break that sucker down. Drake, Morgan Wallen, Kiss, Gabriel Iglesias, Depeche Mode, Kid Rock, Motley Crue, Morrissey, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Hilary Duff, and her NHL boyfriend, husband, Linkin Park, Dashboard Confessional, Good Charlotte, Pearl Jam, and then multiple dates with The Weeknd, Christina Aguilera, Halsey, Alanis Morissette, and then he's also the consultant and management protection, event management for several multi-day events and multi-day festivals across this world. Holy shnikes, dude. You are a crazy, crazy dude.
Well, I try not to be. That's my job, is not to be crazy and to control other crazy people. But
right. This is a sports show, obviously. We want to take the time this month, especially on this day, the day before Memorial Weekend, to get outside the box. We're trying new stuff always on Idaho Sports Talk. We felt that this would be a direction with this interview that we want to go in. And you heard me mention you played Big 12 football at Kansas. How did playing football at Kansas, your experiences in that league, kind of help you become kind of a highly trained espionage security professional badass, man?
You know what? When you church it up like that, it sounds great. But the reality is when you play college athletics, you're on a tight schedule and you're responsible for every minute of every day. And if you don't hold those responsibilities, you get let go. And that kind of translates over to the workspace. So a lot of guys that are athletes, they show up day in and day out. They have to be there on time. They have to go to class. You have to have grades that pass, and you have to perform. You have to work out. You got to do the thing. You got to eat right. You got to do everything correctly. Otherwise, you're out, and you won't play, and you won't be a part of the university program anymore. So that's been my entire life story, is being there on time, having my work boots on, tied up tight, and performing. So translated right into the workspace when I got hired by Pearl Jam when I was 22 years old.
Damn,
and
man.
I never miss a lobby call. I never miss a show. I'm on point every time. And that came from my athletic career, was being disciplined.
Well, let's talk about that athletic career just a little bit. Kansas football player. We're talking to Ryan Atkinson, now lives in Meridian, one of the most industry-leading worldwide security professionals, specializing in rock stars, pop stars, and world tours. I want that on my business card one day. You said in a previous interview that you're ultimately judged by how you handle stressful and chaotic situations. That's a football player. That's an athlete. That's a coach. So those kinds of situations really had to help you get ready for this kind of thing in life.
Yeah, I literally put people on stage now. So, and I stand on that stage with the celebrity that's performing, and I make sure everything goes as planned. When you get put on TV, your national syndicated TV, Channel 2, Channel 4, whatever it is, and you're playing against Nebraska, Oklahoma, you have to go out there and perform. You take everything you've done when no one's looking, and you translate it right into TV. And you don't worry about the cameras. You don't worry about the people. You just go for it. So that's my specialty in the celebrity world, is I don't worry about the people until they show themselves in a weird anomaly way, right? So there's going to be a crowd. There's going to be 50 to 100,000 people in front of me. I'm worried about certain things that are not part of what everyone else is looking at.
Ryan Atkinson, yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk to you about in terms of, former Boise State football coach Andy Avalos and now Spencer Danielson, the football coach. Johnny and I constantly go to press conferences and they constantly talked about eye control. If you're a defensive player, you got to either keep your eyes on the quarterback or the football, eye control. And if you turn your head for a half a second, you're done. Game's over. For you, I saw another interview where you talked about active eyes. You're like the Secret Service guy who has to watch 3,700 people at the same time with one eye and 3,700 people with the other eye. Did eye control and that kind of stuff, that kind of discipline treat you for this profession as well?
Yeah. What's funny is that doing what I do, you come across a lot of people that have done a lot of things in their life. So special forces, Navy SEALs, Secret Service, everything that you're mentioning.
Wow.
I've worked with all those guys. And every single time these people come to me after action, they go, I don't know how you do this. I don't know how you maintain this level of calmness in this chaotic environment. This is a zoo that you live in.
Yeah.
There's a lot of breakdowns in security in the event world. It's part of the business, So Secret Service guys can't wrap their head around it. They can't figure out how I can keep going through with this when there's problems here, problems there. It's like putting your fingers in the hole.
Wow,
right out the
man.
dam.
Yeah.
But it's part of it. You have to look at the big things and not the little things. The little things have to keep going by and the show will go on, so to speak.
So you got to have a steady hand, Ryan. Like you're in major moments of crisis. There's 90,000 people screaming and you can't jump off sides.
Yeah.
I see some similarities there. Or, you were a defensive lineman, whatnot. You're in the trenches. You've had to do it where, hey, man, you got to clear the mechanism, so to speak. That steady hand. It sounds like you have that. And there's another trait. It feels like, this is a profession that also you're big and strong. That's when you get your first job at the local college campus bar, right? They always hire the football guy who wants to come kind of intimidate all the other students saying, hey, if you get out, you get a ruckus. If you've seen Roadhouse, this is our version of Dalton right here, man. Right. And that's kind of is that kind of where you got your start?
What's funny is that is how I got my start. I was working in the bars for $40 a night in Kansas, in Lawrence, Kansas.
Okay.
And, I was that kid that was from LA. I had a blonde mohawk. I had tattoos everywhere, and everyone thought I was a weird Samoan or something. They didn't know how to place me in the world, but, LA guy. And, I used to throw people out. That was my job, but I would do it with a calm, steady hand and a calm voice. I would never yell and scream at people, but I would definitely put them out the door.
Yeah.
And one of the guys I was working with, he was actually Marilyn Manson's bodyguard. His name was Jake Strauss. He's still in the business somewhere. He was Linkin Park's first security guy.
Okay.
He was around Blink 182. He was everyone's security. He never told anybody in Lawrence, Kansas. And he used to work for me. And I used to hang out with the guy. I had no idea what he actually did. He was this big secret.
Wow.
And he used to watch me work, and he would, I like the way you talk to people. I like the way you deal with people. And then when it's go time, when the fight breaks out, like, you're the guy I want with me. And I got a secret world that I want to introduce you to. And that's how I got my first job with Pearl Jam, was through him, through Jake.
Wow.
And,
dang, dude. Yeah. Can you imagine that conversation, Prater? Hey, Eddie Vedder, Stone Gossard, Jeff Ament. Yeah. Those guys. Yeah. We're, I got a job for you. Wow. That must've been awesome. Ryan Atkinson, our guest. He is a security professional in event protection and a local guy. Lives in Meridian, listens to IST, drives down the same freeways we drive down. And what was it, the IST part, Prater? I'm assuming.
Yeah, he might be too busy.
Daily listener.
He walked in with 7 phones. He's too busy to be listening to Idaho Sports.
Hopefully our app's on one of those phones, Prater.
He's got 3 bags strapped around his body. I had no idea what's strapped underneath his body. He's got 7 cell phones. You have a hall pass not to listen to Idaho Sports Talk. But how did you end up in Boise?
I actually came here with the band Motley Crue in 2014 when we started the final tour, which was not their final tour.
It never is.
They've had so many final tours. Yeah.
It was the one with Mick Mars in the band.
But we started. Was that show? Is that the Idaho Center?
Yeah, Taco Bell Arena.
It was a Taco Bell.
Yeah. Tim Deck, my buddy who's head of security over there at Taco Bell Arena, was my favorite security guy in the country, a local dude to deal with. He's my favorite by far. And he kind of showed me around and introduced me to people, and I fell in love with the place. I've been coming here since 2003, so I've seen
concert stops.
Yeah, all over. I've been everywhere since 2003. So every major A, B, and C market in the country I've been to.
You've been to every single place
over and over.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is one of my favorite places. You have non-show days, or what people call days off. We don't say days off. I always work on non-show days. I do advancing phone calls, Zoom calls, and everything else. But I came here for some non-show days. During rehearsals, you have extended period of time to kind of wander around, and I thought this place was like I don't know, Smallville. Everyone was so nice to me and polite and courteous, and I knew that everyone was carrying guns, and I thought that was pretty cool too. I met some cops that were here that really had an impact on me. This guy named Taylor Farnsworth, who's Boise PD. He really I did all my training through him when I first landed here. But there's a great group of people here, and I thought I felt something that connected me here. And it took some convincing to the rest of my family to kind of move up here with me, but they eventually jumped on board, and we got in at the right time, obviously.
So I mean, everybody blames that Californians are sick. Everybody's coming here through. Motley Crue. We can blame Motley Crue for you coming here.
Blame Nikki Sixx out of all of them. Yeah.
Nikki Sixx, he grew up, or he spent some time in Idaho.
He sure did.
In Jerome and Twin Falls
He
area.
did.
You've probably heard all the stories.
He told a story on stage every night about Idaho and tucking his grandpa's knife, and it didn't make any sense. But
is he the guitarist or the drummer?
He's the bass player that started the band. It was his band.
Player. Yeah, Nikki Sixx. We're gonna talk a lot with Ryan Atkinson about cool stories like that. But before we do that, Ryan, we talked about you on show all week, getting ready for it. Now it's kind of your turn. Let's really get this conversation going in a high gear. What is it exactly that you do? How could you describe the executive protection security professional that is Ryan Atkinson?
Oh boy. So I try to separate myself from the EP or executive protection work or close protection or dignitary protection. That's not really me. I'm a different kind of animal. When you direct security for rock and roll tours, pop tours, whatever it is, there's two kinds of security people. There's a venue guy and a personal guy. Personal guy is what you consider a bodyguard. That's close protection. That's the person that's with the artist at all times. The event guy or the venue guy does the advance. So that's the advance guy. Security teams work in tandem, right? So it's like, I need to go to this venue, but I need my guy there in advance to make sure everything is sorted out. He's done everything that he needs to do to make it a safe environment for me to bring this person into. So guys typically do one or the other. I'm one of the only people in the world that does both. So I'm a close protection guy. I'm the guy that's fit, that's muscular, that can take care of people, that can shoot, that can stab, that can do whatever you need, medical. But I'm also the guy that can deal with buildings and all of the facilities people and do all the advancing with local security companies and law enforcement, fire, HVAC, EVAC, whatever you want to call it. So I do both of those things. So I think that a good security person does both because you understand what the other person is doing at all times, right? So you communicate better.
All right. And you've talked about show days. You call them show days. However many thousands you've done them. They start at 6 o'clock in the morning, and typically, hopefully, they finish by 3 a.m.
Yeah, if you're Tommy Lee, you're going to hang out all night and blast your speakers with chicks backstage and do whatever Tommy Lee does. And then there I am, stuck to the door or stuck to the hallway waiting for
Tommy Lee to finish.
The remainder of the gear to get loaded and chicks to leave and then him to get on his bus. Yeah.
That's a perfect transition. We've done the sports thing. We've given the obligatory sports interview. We're going to take a quick break. JP is going to clear out all the commercials, and we're going to come back, and you're going to tell us all kinds of gory stories, dude.
Yeah.
I know you don't leak them, but Johnny and I are really good. You talk about covert operations, Ballgame and I are about to assault you with covert operations. We want stories. We want dirt.
Any crazy questions you, our listeners, can come up with too, text those to the Cloverdale Plumbing text line, 208-424-9300. Back with security professional Ryan Atkinson on IST.
From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Studios, this is Ticket Traffic.
Commute check.
Hey, it's Maggie and Perloff. Catch us weekday mornings here on Sports Radio The Ticket.
And be sure to download the KTIK app to listen to Prater and the Ballgame and all your favorite shows wherever you go.
All right, we'll reveal who the next Boise State season ticket holder is later this hour. But first, we're going to continue this conversation with security professional Ryan Atkinson. Makes his home in Meridian, and you can actually Google him, and there's some really interesting stories and interviews and whatnot. The guy's worked over 4,000 concerts in his career, and this is probably the worst question you've ever been asked, Ryan, but I'm going to start you off like, in your 20 years or whatever on the road, and I know you have so many of them, what's the one quintessential story you have that's going to make Prater and myself and all of our listeners jaw drop and say, holy shnikes?
Oh, wow. There's a bunch of those.
I knew that,
Yeah,
Prater. I hate that question.
There's a lot. I've been at shows. Like I went to a show in Wisconsin where a guy died in the front row. I mean, I've been to, I don't know, hundreds of concerts where people have died.
Was that your fault? Has it ever been your
fault?
fault?
No, never my fault.
And I'm not asking that, Felicia. I mean, sometimes in your business stuff happens.
Yeah, no, I've never killed anybody at a concert. Thank God. But I wouldn't be sitting here probably. But it's just things happen. You put anywhere from 15,000 to 150,000 people in a space, and stuff happens, right? So people have pre-existing health conditions. They fall downstairs. They get in fights, things happen outside. I've had a person run over by a car in a parking lot because they passed out in the parking lot of a show, at a Pearl Jam show. Someone got crushed against the barricade and their lungs gave out in the front row, CPR in the barricade, People, I was at Pearl Jam 2003, Nassau Coliseum. Some guy jumped off vomitory, which is where the player tunnel basically. Jumped off and tried to jump on Eddie Vedder's head.
Hell, man.
It was 21 years ago, and I tackled the guy. He's got knives on him.
He did?
Yeah, but it's like the whole thing got blown out of proportion because he had pocket knives on. But now you have a guy that jumped off a 20-foot drop to attack Eddie Vedder with a knife. It's like so the story gets kind of weird, convoluted, but weird stuff happens. Once with Hilary Duff, we had a stalker that I had to deal with for many months, and it was a person that was trying to kill me and kill her. And you can Google all this stuff; it's not a secret, His name's on the internet, but hopefully he's doing well.
You talk about pop stars and rock stars, and I find it interesting in our conversations leading up to today. You always separate those two. So, one of your other interviews, you talked about rock stars. It's a different too. It's a completely different world, which is probably why you separate them. Rock stars, you have to worry about the middle-aged weirdo who just wants an autograph from Lars at Metallica. When you do pop stars, you have to worry about stalkers.
Yeah, especially females. The female pop star is a different animal. You have to treat that person like a child almost. There's a lot of protection that has to be in place. There's a lot of privacy issues that you don't deal with as a dude or an older guy. I put the band Kiss in the dressing room, and they all go in there and they get naked together. And they put makeup on.
Okay.
They do their own makeup, by the way.
What?
Do you have to help certain body parts?
Yeah, I do most of them. No.
Damn, you're talking, huh?
No.
Nice job.
They do their own makeup. They always have since I've been around. But then you get, a pop star, a female pop star, and it's like, there's all kinds of weird attention towards them.
Glam squads.
Yeah, there's glam squad. There's a hair and makeup. There's stylist. There's publicist. There's manager, day-to-day assistant. Now you have 7 people around that don't really need to be there, but they flap their wings and try to create their space and build a nest, right? So you can get next to the artist and create a job forever. So that was my job, is kind of sort people out. Like, why are you here? Why do you need to be here? You don't need to be here. You don't need to be here. I'll take care of that. Just give me the information. I'll sort it out.
This guy would, because that's me at places. I'm always just trying to find a spot and just be there. And then when the guy says, who are you? What are you? Then I have to leave, So you would do that to me. Ryan, I don't know if you answer this or not, but what's the closest you've ever been to death in this profession?
Oh gosh.
Has there been close calls?
It could be, there's been a lot of planes that I thought were going to go down.
Oof.
I'm a guy that flies more than anyone you've probably ever met.
Yeah.
Platinum status on everything until you go private jet, which everybody thinks is cool, and then you lose all your status.
I never thought about that. Yeah. Okay.
And, you show up, you're like, I'm gold. They're like, get in the back. You're like, no, I swear to God. Planes going down, bus crashes. I was with Morgan Wallen 2022, and Hardy's bus crashed behind us. Hardy was the opening act. He writes a lot of songs for Morgan, big country act. And, his bus crashed. Morgan was on FaceTime with the dude when the bus crashed, and the whole thing fell apart. And if you've ever been in a tour bus, you know that it's very nice, but also you turn it sideways, everything falls down.
Okay.
You got granite, you got cabinets, you got toilets, everything else. So it was a weird situation, So it's traveling is the biggest danger because people die in transit,
Okay.
Sad to say.
You're not a police officer in the traditional sense. So there are many, many times when you're on tour where part of your job is to pretend to be or to act some of the responsibilities of a police officer, but your number one responsibility is to turn a blind eye because what they're doing is not your business and it's not about personal, it's just a business. And how hard is it to watch somebody to turn that blind eye? And you've probably seen some things that may or may not agree with you and you have to go home at night and sleep with yourself. How do you deal with that emotional side of it?
Yeah, you got to bury it deep, really deep down. So just let it build up in your chest. With law enforcement, I have to work with law enforcement for my job. I need them with me all the time. You're going through jurisdictions. You can't carry your firearm everywhere. Actually, most places you can't carry your firearm. This is the biggest misconception of people that are like me. You're the bodyguard of the stars. You go in here, you got your gun with you at all times. You're John Wick. That's not true. You rely on local assets for everything. Yeah, you go to another country, you're not taking your gun. You have a bunch of armed guys with armed cars around. You direct them. You do this, you do that. You stay with me. We're going. Here's the plan. It's all about communication and planning, right? So when you start doing
sports again,
yeah, and when you do things on the fly, everything falls apart, right? So, I need law enforcement with me, and luckily for me, most of the law enforcement that works with these stars in the back of house or backstage type stuff, or do my police escorts for me, which half the country makes you pay for it. The other half just does it for you because they enjoy doing it. These people are there all the time, so they're used to the routine. They're used to dealing with people like me. So like, what do you want? Just tell me what you need me to do. And I always tease that I break the law with cops all over the world, but it's true. We drive. I've driven on the wrong side of the freeway in the Philippines.
You have,
yeah, when the president was getting kicked out. What do you think about the president? Don't answer that. We're getting out of here. We're not political in the Philippines.
Who were you driving?
I wasn't driving anybody. I had a driver, but I was with Good Charlotte, the band.
Good Charlotte, yeah.
And
Okay.
We performed there. Gosh, it must have been 2006, 2007 when the female.
They were huge then.
They were really big.
Imelda Marcos.
Yeah, that was her.
Imelda Marcos. Yeah.
She got caught with some sort of corruption scheme, and we, you need to get out of the country now. It's a big deal. And our locals, I have to listen to my locals. I don't know
So your job was to get Good Charlotte out of the Philippines immediately.
Yeah, opposite side of the freeway, 100 miles an hour. Oh. Everybody with their hands against the windows, just get there. Yeah. It was intense.
We got a bunch of text messages coming in. Is there a particular genre of music or event that you least like to provide security for? This is from our guy James.
You know what? It's weird because in the last couple of years I've done country. I did comedy with Fluffy. My first show with Fluffy was here in Boise. That's where I started the tour.
We gave tickets away to that.
Yeah.
I remember it. Fluffy. I remember that. Okay.
Which was strange because, I don't have a headset on. I'm not blowing, Kiss has 125 hits of pyro in 2 hours, and I know where all the pyro is, concussion blast, up flames, down flames, sparklers, confetti. And he just goes up there with a microphone and you have to wait for someone to make a noise in the audience, a heckler, and then go address the heckler immediately. So you're just like ninja walking around with no headset on and just a little tiny squiggly earpiece in just so you can talk to your partners, and you're just waiting for someone to make a noise or do something stupid or pull their phone out, which was really awkward for me because I'm just kind of walking around during the show, looking at everybody and everyone's looking at me like the boogeyman.
Yeah.
So I almost prefer being in a large audience where everyone's looking at the stage and not me, so I can catch people doing stuff and I'm not the, shining light.
That's funny. Do you listen? I mean, you work out all the time and you have 20 minutes of personal time every single day. Do you still listen? Do you listen to music on your free time?
Yeah, I listen at least 2 hours a day.
Okay.
I'm in my headphones. Yeah, when I work out and I walk at night, it's a big thing. I listen to a lot of rap, which is funny. It kind of gets me going when I work out.
I like rap music too.
Yeah, I'll put some country on once in a while. A lot of rock, a lot of weird rock that no one's ever heard of.
Is there anybody you won't listen to because you don't like them?
No, I separate that. I separate that
You
a long
really
time
do?
ago. Yeah,
I couldn't do that.
You know what? I won't listen to Seal because I don't like that guy, but I don't like his music either.
Yeah.
But no, Motley Crue, that band is kind of terrible if you ask me. I mean, they're not fun to work for. It's very hard.
It is.
Those guys are a
Just
bunch of little kids.
cleaning up after Tommy Lee's bull crap.
No, it's just all of them. It's like working for 5 different bands. They're all different, and you chase your tail the whole day, and they use you as like kind of a pawn.
And they're like reckless teenagers.
Yeah.
I mean, you tell Hilary Duff where to go, she's going to probably go where you tell her to go.
She just follows me.
You tell Motley Crue guys where to go, they're going to give you the finger and say, "Yeah, you dude."
The worst part about that working for that band was that they're what we call gig huggers, right? So they hug the gig. They never leave the gig. So when I wake up off of my tour bus, which is parked in a remote lot because there's no room in the backstage, I have to walk my butt down to the back of house, and then all of a sudden their buses are parked there in the middle of load-in. So you have to load in 25 trucks with their buses right in the way.
They don't move for anything.
Their drivers park and they go to bed, so they're out. They're not even there anymore, and then you have a big old bus in the way of these trucks, and then they pop off the bus at 8 a.m. Hey man, where's the Wi-Fi? They're like, hey man, I just woke up. Can you let me set up the production office and then get back to you? Just be a rock star and go to a hotel, please.
Since we're a sports show, we talk a lot of memorabilia on here. I don't collect it. Johnny does. JP kind of does. If I walked into your house in Meridian, would I know what you do? Do you have rock stars, posters, memorabilia? Or if I walk into your house, there's a picture of a mountain on the wall?
There is no indication that I work with rock stars or any kind of artists in my house. There is nothing. The platinum plaques and everything else, they're somewhere else. They are not in my house. So
you don't play the memorabilia game too much, autograph game, all that kind of weird stuff.
No, I never wanted it to define me. I've known a lot of roadies in my life, and I've been to a lot of roadie homes. And I always thought it was childish or like almost like a college dorm vibe, which is cool if you're in a dorm or a workspace and you have like a little man cave or something. But, I never, I've been to people's houses where they have all this shit on the wall. And, it just doesn't seem like my kind of vibe,
By the way, are roadies the worst? I mean,
roadies are the best.
You have to be in charge of them, though. Are they the best in terms of your job?
Roadies are my people.
Okay.
It's like when you work with a carnival and you have these carnies everywhere.
Yeah.
You just learn to love all the weird personalities. I mean, when we walk through airports in other countries, everyone's tattooed, wearing faded black clothes and just mohawks and expensive bags in first class. It's just amazing to watch people. We go in the lounge, the first class lounge. There's 30 of us that maneuvered our way in there. Roadies will figure things out. I mean, they'll get to where they want to go. They'll go Four Seasons Penthouse if they want.
Genius.
There's a lot of minds that move 20, 30, 40 trucks into buildings, load them back up in 4 hours and leave. These people are really good at what they do.
He's Ryan Atkinson, a security professional. Just got a couple more minutes with him. I knew this would go too quick, but you mentioned earlier, and I want to talk to you about stalkers. How do you weed these creeps out? And you mentioned Hilary Duff had one, and all of a sudden you were involved. The stalker was threatening you and Hilary Duff.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about that and how you found it? Did they come to you first? How did this all start?
Yeah, stalkers, the good thing about stalkers is that they want to be seen. So the fact that the very nature of their business is like, show yourself, right? So if you hide like I tell other people, we move so fast, everything I do is moving quick. I'm not in the same city more than 2 days, right? So if I see the same face in 3 different cities, either you have business with us or you're following us, right? So it becomes very easy when you see the same faces, though, as long as you're paying attention. So I see the same people over and over, but with the stalkers, they show themselves. They tell you their intentions, and they escalate based on being ignored or being giving them that attention. They'll escalate in certain ways. You try to push them in different directions. If they show themselves and you ask them questions, you want to be very nice with these people at first. You want to see where their brain goes. Let them make the move. It's like chess, So you have to keep in mind that it has nothing to do with the artist or you. This is a mental illness. They attach themselves to one person and they don't know that person. So it has nothing to do with them personally.
All right, Ryan Atkinson, world-class security professional. What's next? You had to cancel this interview like 5 times because the bat phone rang and you got to go to Indonesia with Hilary Duff, or next week you got to go with Depeche Mode to Australia. What's where are you headed next?
This is right now I'm doing Kid Rock and Jason Aldean Rock the Country tour. It's a series of festivals, country rock festivals in Nowhere, USA. We're bringing 50,000 people to small towns in the U.S. And we're building these giant shows in the middle of nowhere, which has its challenges, but I think it's been a really great vibe. Pro America, USA all the way, #1. type of vibe. So I'm into it. Working with a great team, a security management team, and we're making sure everyone's safe and has a good time.
I wish we could do more of this. We're going to keep you around, hopefully, and maybe even bring you back later on this summer, Ryan Atkinson. This has been awesome.
We want to come hang out at you and your buddy's barbershop in Meridian.
Yeah, come on down. I'm happy to have you guys, and Lord knows I love talking about myself. So I'll be around and
we
willing
like
and
hearing
able.
about you. Talk about
Do you watch sports at all? Anybody?
You know what? I try to, but with the lifestyle, it becomes so hectic. You could be somewhere in a different part of the world where you have to go on
Good
your
point.
VPN,
Yep.
get on your laptop, which I don't have that sort of time, so you just let it go. Yeah.
Ryan Atkinson. Google him, and you can find more information on what he's done. There's some articles out there, very, very interesting stuff, and appreciate your time today, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate you having me.
When we come back on Prater and the Ball Game, we will reveal the newest Boise State football season ticket holder. Go nowhere. Idaho Sports Talk.
This is Idaho Sports Talk with Prater and the Ballgame.